Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. Always a joy to remind you, always a joy to remind you that the most important energy of your life is the God Spirit at the very center of your being. It is you. It is you. It's just a matter of coming to know it and allowing it to be directive for us in our life. Hopefully our services here this morning, as well as many things we have going on in Now Creations, will assist you in your growth. Speaking of those many things, I hope first of all that you enjoyed our Sunday newspaper ad that would have come out at 7 o'clock this morning via an email, and then also our thoughts for the month, wonderful thoughts for February. I encourage you to make sure that you check your emails for both of those receptions today. And if you have not received them, please let me know. Also, I want to invite you to join us this evening. We have quite a Sunday lineup for Return to Love with Marianne Williamson. It's a wonderful group of mighty souls. I encourage you to join us if you're able to do so. Let's begin. My dear friends, it is quite obvious that you, the members of Now Creations, are responding very beautifully to the teachings presented to you, by you, and through you. Let's briefly take a look at some of these things that have occurred in the month of January. The first thing that many of you have done, you've developed a spiritual plan for 2026. You have sincerely made spiritual resolutions by which you want to live, and these resolutions are bearing much fruit for you already. Secondly, so many of you have responded to the personal outreach report provided by our members committee. Whether it's been letter writing about UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, to our congressional representatives, or simply by helping our neighbors in this very difficult winter weather so far. And then thirdly, so many of you are now realizing the importance of joining our study groups and attending our Sunday services so that we can be growing more and more with each other and with greater understanding and love. Today's teaching will continue our upward ascension trend. It is entitled Spiritual Poise. Spiritual Poise, but it could also be entitled The Restoration of the Human Being to Our Rightful Place as co-creator of our personal lives and of the universe itself. I will begin with a brief comment about the word poise. Apply it to spiritual poise in a quotation from A Course in Miracles, then proceed to describe the problems that hinder the progress of many, and finally conclude, as we always do, with practical spiritual applications. Let's begin. The word poise itself, just the word poise, has a certain energy attached to it. As soon as you say the word poise, you feel an energy that seems to exude from it. Whether you see it in a ballerina, or an athlete on a balance beam, or just a person who maintains their composure in a trying situation of life, you recognize this quality of poise. It can be described in many, many words, such as the graceful and elegant bearing of a person, a sense of dignity, or a sense of stability and balance in one's demeanor. But beyond these descriptive words, poise is more of an energy that you can feel. You certainly feel it when it's exemplified by another, but you also feel it obviously in yourself when you have responded intelligently and with poise in a particular situation. It is also quite easy to notice how spiritual poise enters into the situation, where the spirituality of who we are raises the quality of our poise in particular situations. In fact, many of you are doing this better and better, to the point that the basis of your poise in life, is now your spiritual center. This is an enormous progress for many of us. You realize that it is the God Spirit at the very center of your life that is now giving you a poise, an elegance that was not there before. It is precisely this spiritual elegance, poise, that is presented in a beautiful teaching from A Course in Miracles, in which Jesus instructs us in these beautiful words: your purpose has not changed. Your purpose has not changed, and you will not change, for you accepted what you can never change. And then he adds, give as you have received. I'll say it again. Your purpose has not changed, and you will not change, for you have accepted what can never change. And then he added, give as you have received. So the first obvious question raised by this passage is, what is it? What is it within you, well, that can never change, that you have accepted and can never change? And then the second question, what is it that you are invited to give as you have received? I think that you already know the answers to both of these questions. Let's try to see how well you've done. To the first question, that which in you that you have accepted, that you can never change, I think you understand the answer to that question is the God Spirit within you, that you are created in the image and likeness of God. Now, somewhere along the way, you're going to have to come to that understanding. This is what can never change about you. You are created in the image and likeness of God. This can never change. It can be neglected, it can be doubted, but it can never change. And for those of us who are presently walking a spiritual path, we know the absolute truth of this statement, that we are in the image and likeness of God and are living accordingly. In fact, we like to state it in what I call the fifth dimensional view. In the fifth dimensional statement, we simply say this: I am an eternal spirit that has not left my source, and I live by the qualities of oneness and love. And I do all of this while in my human body. Of course, I'm going to say that again. I am an eternal spirit, an eternal soul spirit that has not left my source. And I live by the qualities of oneness and love. And I do these things right here in my physical body. I think that you clearly realize that such living is really now the basis of our spiritual poise. We have that spiritual poise, just that calmness based on the presence within us. Such spiritual poise does not mean that you will never face another challenge in your life. that we truly realize that such challenges, they really are the opportunities for our growth in which we can maintain our spiritual poise. Now, the second consideration that needs addressed from this quote. It is one that many of you are doing extremely well. For you too have been invited by Jesus to give as you have received. And is this not exactly what you're now doing? That you are giving to God's Spirit as you have received it. That you are showing the God Spirit, sharing it with others in so many ways, from our book studies to our personal outreach. Again, I want to compliment so many of you for doing precisely this, that you are giving as you have received. And then, of course, you clearly understand the message of Jesus, namely that when you give what you have received, well, you receive even more. For many of you, you are clearly realizing that this is how the universe works, always adding to your growth, always giving you more abundance. But a related point needs to be considered. There are many, many people, probably the majority of people, who do not know, they don't know the changeless part of themselves. And in fact, much of what they have received and now give is a very low third dimensional energy. It's filled with fear and mistrust and misgiving. Thus, we see the need of the subtitle of today's teaching, the restoration of the Spirit to all of humanity, our brothers and sisters. Thus, what I will now share with you is present the reasons why many people are unaware of the presence within them, even though the presence is there. They're simply unaware. And then I'll address, of course, the positive steps of releasing these problems. Such people, and even for ourselves at times, we might feel the need to do so. So, of course, I'm going to ask you to listen clearly. In presenting this part of the teaching, let me share with you another word that is quite helpful to explain these ideas. The word is imprint. Imprint. To imprint means to mark or impress a stamp on the surface of a body. Just say it again. To imprint means to mark or to impress a stamp on the surface of a body. You have seen the word used many times, from stamping a passport or stamping a receipt to the FDA stamping the quality of a product, or simply a tattoo on one's physical body. The word is very helpful for us to understand why many people are unaware of their spiritual center. In a word, it boils down to this, that they have been imprinted with self-centeredness and the materialism of the world. Let me explain this a little bit further. Let me explain this just a little bit further. Many, many people, you know many of them, and perhaps you were one of them at one time. Many people have built a fortress of barriers. Many people have built a fortress of barriers that block the development of their spiritual life. They have built a series of blockages which prevents them from spiritual advancement. They have imprinted themselves. They have imprinted themselves with lower energies. So may I suggest to you 5 of the lower energies that many people have imprinted themselves with. The first one is one that you know quite well, but most people don't know why it is such a blockage. The first one is fear, with all of its subtitles: worry, doubt, anxiety, depression, unworthiness, etc., etc., etc. And most of you know the acronym of fear, and it's a good one. False evidence appearing real. It's false evidence. You're not seeing it clearly, which is the second basic hindrance. The reason for fear is pretty much the barrier that it has a twofold aspect to it. The first of these two parts is that humanity, all of us, have lived lifetimes in separation energy. We've taught this many times, but it's one that is very prevalent still. Fear is not a recent energy, but one that has affected and infected humanity, and maybe your humanity, for millennia. But it's the second reason for fear that becomes a very important thing for us to consider, because it is the cause for the lifetimes of fear. The second aspect of fear, the real cause, is ignorance. Ignorance. But I'm going to use a different word. Rather than ignorance, I want to use the word confusion. Many people are just confused. They don't know what to believe. They really don't know what is the truth of life. Ignorance is a little more pejorative. Confusion is much more to the point. Despite the great teachers of the path, such as Buddha, Plato, Aristotle, Jesus, many people still hold false beliefs. They hold false beliefs that keep them stuck in fear. And unfortunately, many of the religions of the world have been guilty also of fear-mongering. You know the 2 basic areas of fear-mongering by many of the religions. You have heard them many times in your life. The first one, that you are a sinful being. And the second and worse, that you must fear God, who's going to punish you for your sins. You've heard that many, many, many times. Some of you are still in the grip of it. These lower energy forces of fear and confusion, of false beliefs and half-truths, still influence so many people. People still holding on to guilt and shame. People still trying to atone for their sinfulness. The third blockage to spiritual poise is one's hidden faults. Your hidden faults. Now, please do not go deeper into guilt. Please don't do that. But listen closely. It's very important to root out what you still know that is within you, but that you have not dealt with. It's very important for you who are on a spiritual path to root out what you still know that you have not released. This is what I have done. And this is what I encourage you to do. It's relatively easy to root out, to release the surface things in life, such as anger and perhaps personal habits. But you know that there are some deeper hidden faults, that you have not dealt with. I had to root out mine, and you're going to have to root out yours. I am certainly not here to tell you what to do, but 3 of the major faults that I think needed rooted out are the following. The first one, a dependency on others rather than becoming self-reliant. This doesn't mean that you don't love and enjoy others, but it does mean that what would happen if these significant people of your life were not present? This is a very fruitful area to ponder. The second area you know quite well. It is an overdependence on money and possessions. And of course, you have the age-old question, what's wrong with a few extra bucks and more possessions? To which I'll give you the age-old answer. There's nothing wrong with them inherently, as long as they don't possess you, which unfortunately is usually the case. How much is enough? Oh, just a little more, really. Which leads to the third hidden fault. The third fault was presented by Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount, and I think just it needs a little upgraded, if I might edit a little bit of what Jesus said. Jesus said, you cannot serve God and mammon. You cannot serve God and the world. You will eventually hate one and love the other. You must choose. I think that a more updated version might be this. You need, I need, we need, everyone needs to take more time to develop our spiritual lives. The hidden fault of the majority of people is not formulating and living a daily life of spiritual practices. Let's be clear. Here's where the fault lies. That you're not clearly formulating and living a daily set of spiritual practices. Honestly, hasn't this been the basic fault of yours for quite some time? Hopefully, at least up to now, but not in the future. I don't think that you fool quite so easily anymore. You know where the fault lies. If you're ready. The fourth obstruction. We allow superficial things in our lives to take over. It could be anything from rooting for an athletic team or becoming an addict to television news. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with these things. But Stephen Covey, in his wonderful book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, gives us a great phrase. He says that many people in life major in minors. Many people in life major in minors. I'll say it one more time. Many people in life major in minors. Such people keep pursuing the temporary, minor things of the world and do not focus their attention on the major understandings of life, such as how to live joyfully and productively, hopefully with a nice sense of spiritual practices. And now the fifth blockage to spiritual poise, and probably the biggest one of all. Jim Self has given us a beautiful phrase in his book, A Course in Mastering Alchemy, that describes what happens when he says that many low-energy people defend their limitations. This is such an important insight for us. People want to defend their limitations. In other words, people don't want to think about what might be wrong or how they might be misinformed, even when they know that they probably are. Many of you have experienced this personally. Whenever such people are invited to engage in a conversation with a little deeper meaning in life, they quickly change the subject, Perhaps you were like this at one time because you were unsure about your life and you didn't want to sound confused or ignorant. As a result, you try to convince yourself that defending your limited knowledge is the right thing for you to do. And you do. You defend your limitations. So, what is the result of all of your blockages? Well, you know the result. You lose your spiritual poise. You lose your spiritual poise. You begin to wobble spiritually. So let's look at the practical solutions of maintaining your spiritual poise. Let's return to the word imprint. It's the real basis of the solution. You recall that the word imprint usually means to make an impression on the surface of something. To make an impression on the surface of something. Again, a tattoo is a clear example. And we said that the real problem of maintaining your spiritual poise is that you have allowed the external imprinting of the world and self-centeredness to dominate much of your life, which has resulted in spiritual blockages. Well, the good news for each one of us is that in the spiritual path, we understand, we know, and we feel that we have an internal imprinting. We understand, we know, and we feel that the energy that has been imprinted, into our soul spirits is the actual imprinting of the image and the likeness of God. And that as a result, we do our spiritual practices. And as we do them, we do regain the spiritual poise of our lives. We become restored human beings. We exhibit spiritual poise. We become graceful, elegant, composed, balanced, that we speak a dignity, that we feel within ourselves and is clearly observed by others. Your spiritual poise has given you an all-embracing appreciation of life that is now the basis for you to exemplify this to all humanity. So let me now give you a very strong definition of yourself. A strong definition of yourself. You are a source intelligent being. You are a source, God, intelligent being. Say it again. You are a source, intelligent being. Because you are this source, intelligent being, you are able to maintain your spiritual poise. Such an intelligent spiritual poise enables you to overcome your 5 barriers, to overcome fears and worry, to give you a clear understanding of life, to root out those hidden faults, to stop majoring in minors, and most of all, to stop you from defending your limitations and to become a little more open-minded. Spiritual poise will help you to take that internal spiritual imprinting of your soul spirit, to take that internal soul spirit imprint and imprint it on the world. And imprint it on the world, thus ushering in the kingdom of God, maintaining your poise, helping others to be restored in their humanity, because you are now giving what you have received. Is this not who you are and what you're ready and willing to do? Is this not you now? In conclusion, the word poise just has that elegant energy about it. And to elevate its energy by adding the word spiritual poise, we clearly understand the right formula of life, because we are a source intelligent being. It is precisely this spiritual poise that we will continue to foster in Now Creations. We will help each other to do so, and we will help all others to do so. We have the will to do so. And in this will, let me now invite you into our meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Poise. Spiritual poise. There is an elegance to both of those ways. Just third dimensionally, the word poise. And then you add the word spiritual, spiritual poise. Have you come to that changeless part of you? Have you come to know it? If you're thinking about whether you have or not, I can just tell you that you haven't come to it yet. It's not that you don't know it. You just haven't come to it yet if you're thinking about it. Again, it's not that you don't have it. It's just that, well, you haven't come to know it if you're thinking about it. You have come to know it if you are feeling that presence within you. That's bigger than your personalities. It's an internal presence. It's a feeling. conscious, alive, strong. It's your God Spirit as you. Perhaps right now, in this combined energy with others, you are feeling this internal presence. Good for you. Good for you. You have come to know your internal imprinting. You've come to know your internal imprinting of being in the God Spirit as you. With this imprinting, you have stopped so many of your fears. You have stopped being ignorant and confused with not sure what to believe. You've rooted out dependency and they are becoming much more self-reliant, confident of the truth that you know. that stems from your center. You have stopped majoring in minors. Oh my goodness. Majoring in minors. And you have stopped defending your limitations. The only thing that really matters now is how willing you're ready to continue your spiritual journey, how willing you will be to do your daily practices, join with others, so that you might, as Jesus prompted us, so that you might give as you have received. And let's conclude this meditation with the notion that that spiritual poise that you have within you is the source of great joy. And just look at what you have to look forward to during the course of the day. If you haven't looked at our ad or the thoughts for the month, or perhaps thinking about joining us tonight for a return to love, oh my, what joy awaits you, in addition to all of the happy things you'll do in the course of this day. So in that joyful energy of spiritual poise, let me invite you back to your breath. It's hard not to be excited being back in that energy, just knowing that feeling within you. And as you do so now, just gently opening your eyes. Happy to say, I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.